Good afternoon, everybody. We are working on a Honda Civic today. We are doing the front brakes. As you can see here, I didn't do a good intro while I was taking video, so we're just doing a voiceover and getting this all taken apart. Okay, so what I'm doing here is using the wrong tool for the job. There is a really nice tool to compress calipers. It's been ordered, it's not here yet. So I'm using just a normal clamp. And this works if you don't have to twist the brakes. Usually the rear calipers will have something you have to twist. I like to put a pad in there just to make sure I'm getting even pressure all over the cylinder. And we're doing this so when we put the new rotor on, which is going to be thicker than the crusty one, and the new pads on, which are also thicker, that we'll be able to just slide this on over the top here. So this is kind of the goal. When you're doing this too, you look for rips and tears in that little rubber boot around the caliper. This one's got a little rip in it. Seems like it's okay though. I don't see any fluid coming out, so that's good. But typically you do want to replace that if that's part of your plan or in your budget. So I think I was also on slow-mo when I was explaining earlier how what we do to start here. So let me pop this guy off and show you where we started on the other side. Okay, so just to start, to recap, I took off 12mm here and 12mm on top, which is up here. And then there are some larger bolts that are right here, one on top, one on bottom. Those are 17mm. You want to pop both of those off too. That'll allow you to take the bracket and the caliper off. Also, something that's usually a good idea when you're working on these, just to get this guy out of the way. Once it's off and released, usually just throw a zip tie through the strut somewhere, hook it through the bolt hole, bolt eyelet, and just hook it back up till you're ready to slide it back over the caliper bracket. This just gives you a little cushion in case you're dangling or this thing drops. You don't rip this brake hose. They're pretty hard to rip, but you don't want to do that if you don't have to. Next, we're going to probably have to take this guy off. Looks like somebody put some set screws in there. Typically you don't see those in there, but they are in this one, so we're gonna have to get those out and then pop the rotor off next. Alright, so the guy at the AutoZone is going to ask you, do you want some brake clean with that? And the answer is yes, you do want some brake clean with that. Because your new shiny rotor comes in a plastic bag and it's all soaked in oil. So if you try to drive with it covered in oil, probably make your pads all nasty and not work super good. So what we do, move our plastic wrap, get our nice lint-free rag. If you don't have lint-free rag like me, you just use shop towels and spray down these suckers with a generous amount of brake clean. Yeah, get her in there. Alright. And then now that the front side's all clean, that back side. Oh yeah. Get all them juices off of there. Oh. And you wipe till you don't really get much there. And this one, fortunately, isn't too bad after spraying the heck out of it. So, crystal clear. One thing you'll notice too, a lot of people like to do anti-seize. Anti-seize basically is like this magical jelly. I think it's just aluminum and oil. But you put it on the back of your pads and or rotors or on the hub here like this. Just coat her in there good. This will prevent it from gluing itself on there with the rust. So you can get your rotor on there right where it wants to go. I'm going to line it up with the set screws, but I don't think those set screws are going back in. This is the moment that you realize the guy at the AutoZone didn't give you the correct front rotors for your Civic. And so as you'll notice in the next frame, I've got some black ones. I got upgraded for free because they gave me the wrong ones to start with. So up next, after you have obviously cleaned your rotor, you got your new hardware in. Pads go in, but before you do that, you want to put a little bit of brake caliper lube on there, or brake lube, or whatever you call it. That way these things slide freely for their whole life. Just put a little glob on each one, and then you just rub it in a little bit, spread it out, share the love, you know. This is also going to make it really fun to put the pads in, because when you put the pads in, they're not going to want to stay once they're in. So you just do your best. And then on the pads, I think this is probably worth noting, this is the inside and this is the outside. So if you're doing that, put them in the right way. Otherwise you'll be at a shop and they'll be asking you why you did it that way. You won't have a good answer. Except for the guy on YouTube didn't tell me that that was the outside. Come on now. Yeah. And these will just go in really easy. Really nice and easy. Who does number 2 work for? I don't know. Too far. There we go. So you should have something like this. They have these little springs on them. I'm gonna wait till I get them. Well, I can't. I was gonna wait till I put them in the caliper to do that part, but can't. So I'm pretty sure when I took them out, they were both pointing towards the middle, so that's where we're gonna put them. Put the hopefully you can see this. I got you pointed at me, and you don't want to see me. Put the little clips in. These help them spread back out after you squeeze them. This is where we cross our fingers that they don't do this, because they're, well, just really pop out. I don't like that. Don't like that one bit. All right, stay in there. These guys are wild now. All right, stay. All right, and then we'll do the other side, and then we'll try to sneak this into the caliper real fast. There you have it. You sneak them in there. Let me point you at this again. Just sneak them in there like this, like you're cradling a little baby. Line up the slides. You should be pretty happy, more or less. And what you don't want to do is what I did there and get one out of the channels. There you go, pop them back in there. So this is a good time, if you can reach them, to just hand tighten your slide bolts in, just so you're staying lined up as you're putting this back to where it belongs. I'm sure some people can do these without taking the slides off, but I can't. No idea. Come on now. Alright, so that guy's about where you need it there. And then you're just going to want to slide this guy over the rotor to its home, where it lines up with the mounting brackets. So we're going to repeat the same thing on this side. 12 millimeter, 12 millimeter, 17, 17. We'll try to give you a better view of those, just so you can see them in there. And then pull off the pads, pull off the rotors, put the new pads in, new hardware, grease it all, and be done with it. So we'll put these together and I'll just put you on fast forward. Alright, so before we put anything away, we're just going to torque everything up. The internet is usually my source for torque specs. It says 80 for the back ones here for the caliper bracket bolts, which go into the knuckle, which I am at.